What's going on, guys? I'm your host Joss. Welcome back to Top 10 Beyond the Screen. If you're new here, make sure to follow the BTS team on social media. All of our links are down below. And stick around until the end of the video where I handpick some comments and do some shoutouts. A lot of people will say that Nickelodeon was a big part of their childhood. We spent so many hours watching our favorite shows that it almost felt like the characters were real and that we actually knew them. Which is why it was also a total heartbreak every time our favorite show came to an end. But with all the reboots happening these days, we can't help but wonder which Nickelodeon shows they could ever reboot and which ones they probably won't. Let's talk about it with today's list of top 10 Nickelodeon shows they will never bring back. Starting off our list at number 10 is Rugrats, a true cult classic for 90s babies, well, for anyone really. Rugrats was the super fun animated TV series that revealed the world from a baby's point of view. The series ran from 1991 until 2004 with a whopping total of 172 episodes. As kids, we loved Angelica's famous line, "You stupid babies," and the fact that the adults in the show were always clueless. Klasky Suspo was the studio behind the popular show, and after its 10th anniversary, they released a special called All Grown Up back in 2003, which featured the cast as preteens. Not gonna lie, it was kinda weird to see them all grown up. I didn't really like it. But the special was incredibly popular, and Nickelodeon wanted the studio to put their efforts into All Grown Up instead of the original Rugrats. The studio was hoping Nickelodeon would allow them to work on both, but the network was aiming their shows more towards teens at that point. Nickelodeon ended up ending their long-running partnership because they wanted to move on with different animation styles, and the studio didn't continue working on either one. Some fans say that they never should have grown up and that they ruined it by turning them into teenagers. At this point, they can't really bring back the original Rugrats since they've already shown them all grown up. It just wouldn't make sense. They would have to continue from where they left off as teens, and in my opinion, nothing beats the original Rugrats animation and the characters. And at number 9 is My Brother and Me. The show had a very simple plot. 8-year-old Dee Dee and his older brother grew up in North Carolina. That's pretty much it. The show came out in 1994 and only lasted a year before it was cancelled, which was a shame seeing as it received great reviews and it was a huge success for Nickelodeon. The show always provided a positive experience for families because it showed the love and humor that can happen between a regular family. It was actually aimed at an older audience than the usual teen Nick shows, and apparently the showrunners had different ideas on where they wanted to take the show. The actor who played Dee Dee, Ralph Woolfolk, says he didn't find out about why the show was cancelled until years afterwards. He ended up finding out that the production staff's feud and debate was so intense at the time that they still no longer even speak to each other. But the actor isn't upset about it because he believes that the showrunners contributed to the typical stereotype that, I quote, "African Americans can't get along." For more than one reason, the show probably will not be rebooting anytime soon. Next up at number 8 is Real Monsters. Well, it's technically called Real Monsters, but hopefully you just knew what I meant. It was an animated TV series created in 1994 which showed 3 monsters in training at the Monsters Academy. Kind of like Monsters Inc. in a sense. The show was only running for a few years before it was cancelled in 1997 for being too scary. Apparently the show was meant to make kids laugh but also scare them at the same time. The monsters were in school to learn how to scare humans living on the surface. Monsters Inc. totally ripped these guys off. Just saying. Anyways, the show was pretty mild at first, but then it started to continue down a more dark and disturbing path, which is when it got cancelled. Before the show was taken off the air, a Real Monsters movie was already planned, and since it would be released in theaters, the creators would have more freedom to create disturbing content. But production was shut down once there were claims that it was too frightening for the kids. I don't think Nickelodeon is looking to reboot it anytime soon. Sliding into number 7 is the Angry Beavers. The cartoon animation ran from 1997 to 2001 and was controversial from the start for some of its content. The series followed 2 brothers who left home to gain independence and shows them trying to survive the adventures of adulthood. So basically my life right now. The show had issues with Nickelodeon because some of the content was racy and had the implication of crude language. The co-creator of the show, Keith Kazarick, told Vice that the show was facing canceling. He said, "We were significantly over budget, behind schedule, and had worn out our welcome with the network." Turns out they wanted to leave with a bang, and in the final episode called Bye Bye Beavers, they did something they knew Nickelodeon would hate. They ended up breaking the 4th wall, and after all the years the kids believed the characters were real in their world, they told them that they weren't. Nickelodeon didn't think it was very funny, and they were able to cancel the show before airing that scandalous episode. Not only did they wear out their welcome, but they also wore out their welcome back. At number 6 is The Secret World of Alex Mack. The show replaced the long-running hit series Clarissa Explains It All on Saturday nights. The show followed a teenage girl who has superpowers, which we all know was a trendy topic in the 90s. She had to keep her powers a secret though, or else she would be captured by the chemical plant and used for experimentation. The show was a hit and lasted 4 seasons from 1994 to 1998. It starred Jessica Alba and Larissa Oleynik, and because it was so popular, it was scheduled to run for a 5th season. But apparently Larissa, who played Alex Mack, turned down the offer and no longer wanted to do the show. It was reported that Nickelodeon even offered her a large salary to try and keep her on the show, but she still refused. Her reasoning was that she wanted to leave acting, step away from the spotlight, and continue to live a normal life. Later on in interviews, the actress has said that she did not regret her decision at all. She did return to acting in the 2000s, but only for supporting roles until she booked a role on the hit TV series Pretty Little Liars. She continues to book whatever roles she can, but after being the reason a show was cancelled, I can't see them bringing the show back after all of these years, especially with someone who just kind of up and left during the time that it was at its peak. Halfway through the list, at number 5 is H2O Just Add Water. The show was filmed in Australia, but told a story that a lot of kids worldwide could relate to. The story is about 3 best friends who have to cope with being different. I think we can all remember a time in our childhood when we felt this way. Hell, I'm still coping with that. But the thing that makes them different is actually a lot of fun. With just one splash of water, they would transform into mermaids. Sounds like fun, right? But their struggle was that they had to hide their secret from the rest of their friends and family. The series ran from 2006 to 2010, but as time went on, the production of the show became too difficult. Turns out the costumes were hard to swim in, and the girls actually had to learn to swim with an extra 2 feet of fake tail attached to their bodies. Overall, the show wasn't a huge hit, and the ratings started to plummet. It was reported that the actresses were also beginning to lose interest in the show and wanted to move on to more serious roles. One of them ended up leaving the show early to film Messengers 2, The Scarecrow, and then later on moved to star in Pretty Little Liars as well. So the show ending probably worked out best for everyone, and with the poor ratings, we probably won't ever see it again. Here we are at number 4 with Jimmy Neutron. Klasky Suspo was a company that dominated the 1990s with their animation series. But after Nickelodeon parted ways with the company, like I mentioned earlier, they decided to add 3D shows to their network. And in walked The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. The show first aired in 2001 and lasted until 2006. It told the story of the boy genius who would use his intelligence to create new inventions. Some of them worked in his favor, and some of them didn't, but that's what made it so fun to watch. The studio at the time, DNA Productions, had several TV shows, but Jimmy Neutron was their most successful one. However, the studio started to have some financial troubles and wasn't able to keep producing the show. That's when they tried to take the risk by creating the movie The Ant Bully, but it was a box office flop, and the studio ended up laying off most of their employees and closed their animation studio. With all of that came the end of Jimmy Neutron. I know that this generation already has like a ton of cartoons and stuff, but part of me thinks Jimmy Neutron might actually still be a hit if they could make it work. Maybe change some things up, make it more modern. What do you think? Those are just my thoughts. Alright guys, at number 3 is Animorphs. You probably remember seeing the books all over your school library. You know, the one where there's a kid on the front that's like morphing into some weird animal. The books told the story in first person, where all 6 characters had their turn at narrating the books throughout their own perspective as they turned into different animals. The book series was a total success, so Nickelodeon decided to adapt it into a live action television show. Fans looked forward to seeing their favorite characters on screen, but they were soon left feeling very disappointed. The actors got bad reviews saying they didn't do a good job at portraying the characters from the novel, and that they didn't have a good chemistry on camera. Also, the whole morphing into an animal? Yeah, the effects for those scenes were horribly done. If you were one of the viewers, you probably only watched it to have a good laugh at the awful special effects. Let's be honest. There was only 26 episodes before the views started going down, so Nickelodeon decided to cancel the show at number 26. We have the special effects for the story now, but the story itself isn't even worth watching, in my opinion. In spot number 2 is Zoey 101. I loved this show and was actually super bummed when they got rid of it. This show taught us that Britney Spears has a little sister. Jamie Lynn Spears started out her acting career on Nickelodeon and took on the leading role of Zoey in the hit series. She played a teenager living in a co-ed boarding school, which always made school seem like way more fun than the one that we were stuck in. The show was popular and lasted 4 seasons through the years 2005 to 2008. But the 16-year-old Jamie shocked everyone when she announced that she was pregnant pregnant with her 18-year-old boyfriend at the time. It turned into an immediate scandal because she was so young, but also because she was on a network like Nickelodeon and her boyfriend was facing potential charges of being with a minor. She had to leave the show, obviously, to be a mother to her newborn, so Nickelodeon had to cancel the show sooner than expected. Recently though, there has been rumors floating around saying that the reboot might happen and that she's willing to do it. She posted on Instagram saying, "Yo, Nickelodeon, have your people call my people." However, during interviews, the former actress says she is focusing on being a mom and her full-time singing career. Yes, she is a country artist now, and a successful one at that. She left the acting industry and confirmed that, as of now, it is all just rumors. But I am secretly hoping that this reboots, you guys. After the scandal, I don't know if it would, but one can dream. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Sam and Cat. Once iCarly and Victorious came to an end, Jeanette McCurdy and Ariana Grande teamed up for their spin-off show called Sam and Cat. Oh yeah, don't forget Ariana Grande started her career acting on these shows. The show followed the two of them who were roommates and became hilarious babysitters. The show was a huge success until Jeanette caused a massive scandal for the network when inappropriate images of her were leaked online. She blamed her ex-boyfriend, but unfortunately, Nickelodeon didn't care what the reason was because the photos caused damage to not only her public image, but theirs also. Rumors were floating around, saying that they didn't invite her to the Kids' Choice Awards, even though she was up for a nomination. She ended up making a statement saying that Nickelodeon did not have her back at all, and she didn't attend the event after all, but took it to social media and Reddit to complain instead. The show ended up getting cancelled after just 1 year. As for Ariana, she had nothing to do with the scandal, and it clearly didn't affect her future career in any way. Even if they forgave Jeanette down the road and did a reboot, Ariana does not have time for that. She is selling out worldwide tours on the daily. Okay, there's our list for today. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Which show on this list would you want to see again? I'm sticking with Zoey 101. And show me some love by hitting that thumbs up button so that I know you enjoyed today's video. For now, let's check out some comments from my last video, Top 10 Terrible Interviews That Destroyed a Celebrity's Career Part 2. OJ McClanahan says, "Love the look, Joss. Do you have any Native American blood? You sure look like it." I don't, but I wish I did. Maybe I should do that ancestry thing that everyone's doing nowadays and just find out in case I do. Dennis O'Brien says, "Well done, I think you struck the right balance of commentary / explanation with brief excerpts to accentuate. I find your personality delightful." Well, this was the nicest comment I've probably ever received and also the most grammatically correct. It's very hard to read out loud, but thank you. Crispy Golf says, "Can Paris Hilton manage a sentence with more than 3 words tops without the use of a teleprompter or flashcards? Just asking. I'm not sure, but I will ask her and I'll get back to you." Ismail Mayit says, "Joss, can you do a British accent?" Yes, I can, and it's awful, and no, I will not show you. Alright guys, that's all I got for you today. Make sure you subscribe and hit that thumbs up button before you go. To keep watching more Beyond the Screen videos, just stay on this screen and click the icon that will appear right over here. I'm your host Joss, and I will see you next time.